The following tutorial is on how to work with what we call skin weights on your character. If I click on one of the control points on this rig, if I hit the W key and move this down a little bit, you'll see that the arm objects have some influence on the egg shape object for your character. You can see the indentation here. If I undo that, what we need to do is take care of that indentation or the influence that it has on this. So a lot of your characters are a little bit different than human IK, and some are robotic, and we can remove that effect by using what is called skin weights. It works well with human IKs because it's more amorphic. However, if we want to remove some of that, we have to work with what we call skin weights. So if I go to paint skin weights and I click on the little square here, that'll call up another panel here on the left hand side. So when I click on my object, I'm going to grab the arrow key, click on my object, and then over here on the left now is the icon for the paint weights. And this panel, once the objects are selected, fills up with a hierarchy of layers for this character. So if I click on the layering here and kind of go through, you'll see that there is a level of grayscale gradation throughout your object as you use your perhaps up arrow as I'm going through, or just clicking through those layers. You can see what objects have influence on one another. So if I go to the character left shoulder here, this is where a lot of the activity is going on that I'd like to remove. So whatever's white here in this combination is influencing one another. So essentially what I want to do is either make all of one object white or remove some of this white by painting it out with black. But we're going to use a different method. It's called select. So if you look over here in your menu, there are two radial buttons. One's called paint and one's called select. So we're going to need to kind of click back and forth between these two to see what a result is. But I do know that the left shoulder and this oval shape are influencing one another, that are creating that indentation. So I'm going to use a select method versus the paint method. In order to do that, I have to go to the arrow, and I'm going to right click on the oval or egg-shaped object and select vertex. So if I click on one vertex here and I use my shift right caret or shift period, if I keep clicking on that, I can select all the vertices for that egg. Then I want to go back to the skin weight icon here so that the panel comes up. I'm going to go to the left shoulder because I knew that's where the influence was. And all you have to do is go down a little bit to what we call value. And I'm going to grab this slider and pull it all the way to the right. And then when I click on my paint radial button, you'll see that now the egg is all white. So that's not going to have any influence, this object, on my egg. I could have used vertices and selected fewer vertices on the egg just so that it only doesn't influence that certain area of the egg, but I went ahead, selected all the vertices, and just pulled the value all the way to the right under the select radial. So I tend to go back between paint and select when I'm doing this so I can make sure that something has changed as I went through the selected process. Now if I click on the arrow and I grab the control point on that control rig and hit my W key and I move this down, you can see now that that indentation is no longer occurring on that oval or that egg shape.